Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Idol Threat Wrestling Podcast. This is for all the Idolos and Idolettes. Please like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoy. Boom, boom. Fuck this shit!
Welcome to the Idol Threat Wrestling Podcast, the show where we snap into a Slim Jim and we don't snap out. The show where we like our wrestling real and our sports fake. So as you can see this week, I'm doing it solo again because Mike Holmes is in Winnipeg. He's just gone for another week or so, and he'll be back to host with me next week. Double D's in the house though, and let's do this thing. This is kind of our Stomping Grounds prediction. As we did the Saudi show, we figured we would do the Stomping Grounds show with another terrible name for a pay-per-view, but we'll get started with Today in Wrestling History. And I don't know if everybody knows this, but Today in Wrestling History, June 20th, in 2002, Vince Russo was actually, believe it or not, rehired, after all the crap he pulled in WCW, rehired by the WWE and was going to come in to be a writer again. And maybe his ideas would have worked with Vince again, like they did in the 90s Attitude Era, but he left within 3 weeks. Felt like he just didn't have the support that he used to have, and a lot of people think that he knew about TNA starting up. That even though it wasn't today, but I think it was yesterday, it was the 17th anniversary of Impact Wrestling, so it's another Today in Wrestling History, or yesterday in wrestling history. They started out as NWA TNA, then they were TNA, and then whatever, it gets confusing, and they go like Global Force Wrestling for a minute, and then finally we have Impact, and watch Impact on Friday nights on Twitch at 10 o'clock. So wrestler birthdays though, we got Coco Beware's birthday today, and also Rampage Jackson, wrestler or not, he had one match. The UFC, Rampage Jackson. But very, very special of all the birthdays, it is Mike Holmes' birthday. Our very own. So give it up for Mike Holmes. He'll be back next week, and you wish him a happy birthday then. Other things we got coming off of this weekend, past weekend, June 15th, we had the Border City Wrestling here in Windsor, did their Father's Day show at St. Sportsplex. We've been pumping that show for a while, and it was a great show. Main evented by Cody Deaner, Michael Elgin, and Congo Kong. So basically, right here in Windsor, we had a Impact match for the Border City Wrestling Championship that Cody Deaner retained against two big men. It was a great match. The Father's Day thing was really cool. It was cool to see a nice audience of fathers spending days with their children, and the kids seemed to be having a really good time, and it was awesome to see Cody celebrate with his fans, the kids, after he retained his title. There's other matches with Aiden Prince and Nate Matson, who you've seen on this show, took on the Desi Hit Squad and retained the Border City Wrestling tag titles. They had Nate Matson filling in for Brent Banks, obviously, the actual Border City Wrestling Tag Team Champs. But I did ringside photography. It was my first time, and you can check out many photos of that show right on Instagram. Go to Idol Threat Productions, and you can see all kinds of awesome pictures from that show. Speaking of Border City Wrestling and me doing ringside photography though, coming up July 7th at the Essex Fun Fest in Essex, Ontario on Sunday, July 7th. It's, I think it's 2 till 3 o'clock. I'll double check that for you before I run a flyer or something. Come check that out. That's going to be a good show too. And again, this is Cody Deaner, Impact Star, Aiden Prince, El Reverso, many more. So come check that out. Not too much going on. I figured I would just kind of give you a rundown where we got mics out, like I said, in Winnipeg. So we're just gonna, fill in this kind of a filler show just to keep you guys updated what's going on in the world of the Idol Threat Wrestling Podcast. When Mike gets back, we're gonna definitely get into those VHS reviews. WrestleMania 1, still gonna be the first review, and whatever else. Mike left about a week ago, so we haven't really got a lot to planning me and him, but once he gets back, you're going to see a lot more from me and Mike and the Idle Threat, the whole crew here at the Idle Threat Wrestling Podcast. Moving on though to our Stomping Ground. It's Stomping Ground this time. A terrible name, but my theory, I guess, is they're trying to run it with the stomping. Seth Rollins finisher is the champion. Title's on the line. Whatever. Better than Great Balls of Fire. So yeah, we're gonna run into our predictions on that. Mike's, I got a separate video he sent me. He is gonna get his in. They'll be following me. I'll put him at the end. But we got Double D, who's here in the house with us. Got his predictions, so I'll be minding his predictions for now. I'll try to run through this a lot quicker than we did last time. Keep the show and returning. We didn't have it in the bonus episode with Matt, but tell me he didn't just say that. Tonight we got a really good one for you, so stick around for that one. A little controversial, but I think it's a good one. A lot of you may have not seen it. It's not as famous of a one as, like Booker T in the N-word, but my God, it's shocking. So let's do it. Let's run down the Stomping Ground 2019. Why even call it Stomping Ground 2019? Because they'll probably change the name next year, and this will be the only Stomping Ground. But rolling with it anyways. We got Bayley versus Alexa Bliss for the women's championship, the SmackDown championship. So I went with Bayley. I don't know, I feel like she just got it. I feel there's a feud there, them two. Alexa Bliss is a really good heel, so her chasing Bayley. I just don't see her doing it this time, but Double D does. So we got a 50-50 there. We'll see what Mike says at the end. Stay tuned for all of Mike's predictions. I'll put them on immediately following this. Then we will run to tell me he didn't just say that. Then we'll wrap up the show. So, onward. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. It's the match at the Saudi Showdown, as I like to call it. Drew McIntyre interfered, gave Shane McMahon the win over Roman Reigns. So at Retribution, I got Roman Reigns taking that one. Double D has Shane interfering and just causing a DQ, which is very good choice. I could see that happening. Next match, Becky Lynch versus Lacey Evans for the Raw Women's title. And Double D has got Lacey Evans going over in that one, which is a good prediction, I guess. I mean, they brought her in strong. She came out and walked around and waved for months. So, yeah, why waste her, I guess. But I went with Becky Lynch. I don't know. Doesn't seem like a lot of change. I don't see a lot of changes in WWE. And you know what's funny about this card? As much as I crap on WWE, when I look at this card on paper, I thought, pretty sweet card. I know a lot of people on the internet are complaining about, oh, it's a lot of same matches as the Super Show, but let's be honest, a lot of people probably, it was on at 2 o'clock on a Friday, probably didn't watch the Super Show, and like I called it before, glorified house show for money. So, a lot of people, and there's a lot of controversy behind it that maybe people just didn't watch. I feel like that one didn't do, not like any of their shows are really doing good ratings, but I feel like, why not? Let's do these matches. A lot of these matches had potential rematches in them anyways. So, continuing on. Before I digress again, Seth Rollins, Universal Championship versus Baron Corbin. There's another rematch. We both took Seth Rollins. I don't think any of us around at the Idle Threat Wrestling Podcast really give a shit about Baron Corbin. Who knows if he could get the title? He's boring. And I don't see him win. But you got the special guest referee during that match, which I think is really the more why that match is exciting to anybody, is because of that. And is it Brock Lesnar? Does Brock Lesnar, wait a ref, cash in? Maybe he lets Seth Rollins, he helps Baron Corbin win and then just smashes Corbin. Many possibilities. I don't know. I expect, my opinion, as that, take it for what it is. I don't watch the damn Raw and SmackDown, so what do I know? But I feel like he's going to try to cash in again and somehow Seth Rollins is going to get away. Like at the Saudi show. That's what I think. That's what I think is going to happen. So we both got Rollins picking up the victory anyways. So Kofi Kingston versus Dolph Ziggler in a steel cage match now. Why it's in a steel cage match, I'm not sure. To me, a steel cage match is you want to keep guys out of the match. Are the New Day, do they interfere in a lot? I assume they were the good guys, so I don't see them interfering. I think it's just too early for the steel cage. Is kind of like, let's end it. Steel cage, no interference, no nothing. Us, let's get this pinfall without anybody. None of that escape the cage stuff either. I don't like those that much. I like the pinfall submission style cage match. So anyway, we got a split on that one. Double D's keep it with Kofi Kingston. I'm taking Dolph Ziggler. I think it's mostly because I want it. I really, that's how I feel. So now finally Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio. Oh no, he's not fighting Rey Mysterio, thank God. It's versus Ricochet, which should be a good match. I think a lot of people think this is going to be the best match on the card. I necessarily don't think that. Huge Samoa Joe fan. I'm taking Joe to retain just because it bounced back between him and Mysterio. I think they got to get, and Ricochet is coming up and expect a lot from Ricochet. But I think it's more, this is an enhancement match for Joe. With a good star though, and it's going to be a good match with, yeah, we're both taking Samoa Joe on this one. Yeah, we both got Joe on that. So, next match. The New Day versus Owens and Zayn. I don't know too much about if they got a feud going on or anything there. I can't really tell you that. But to me it sounds like a very, very good match that we both have Owens and Zayn going over in that one. So, not much to say about that one. We're just gonna move on and to the Cruiserweight match, which I think is gonna be the best match on the card. That's my opinion. It's Tony Nese versus Gulak versus Tazawa. I know I'm pretty bad at pronouncing names. I don't have Mike to correct me here this week, but I took Gulak. Double D took Nese. And finally, Heavy Machinery versus Daniel Bryan, Eric Rowan. Another one I don't know anything about. I just know that it's Daniel Bryan. So, I'm going with him. Heavy Machinery, I know who they are, but I don't feel like they're going to beat, the guys who won every title, all the major titles, everything else. Heavy Machinery, are they pushing them that hard? I don't know. But we're going Eric Rowan and Daniel Bryan on this one. So that'll bring it. That's mine and Double D's predictions for this show. I'll get you a little card or a tally or whatever up to show who we picked after I bring you here's Mike's predictions.
What is up, everybody? It's your boy Mike Holmes from the Idle Threat podcast out in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I'll be back soon, but for now, here's my predictions for WWE Stomping Grounds. Now, when it comes to Bayley and Alexa Bliss, I'm going with Bayley. But there could be a little bit of interference from Nikki Cross. I'm still going Bayley, though. And then we've got Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin. Gonna have to go Rollins. Then we've got Kofi Kingston. It doesn't matter who he's facing. I'm going Kofi Kingston. Sorry, Dolph Ziggler. Samoa Joe. Now, it's not that I want to see Ricochet lose. It's just that I think it's going to be a very close match, but I don't think they're going to put any new championship belts on anybody. So I'm just going to go ahead and say maybe Ricochet almost hits him with a 630, but misses the 630. Or, yeah, misses the 630, but then is on his back. And then Joel rolls back over, turns his body, coquina clutch over. Cruiserweight Championship match. Akira Tozawa, Tony Nese, Drew Gulak. Who's going to come out with the championship? Probably, they've been booking him strong lately, the champion. I'm going with Tony Nese. When it comes to Becky Lynch versus Lacey Evans, everybody knows I'm going to have to go with my fellow Ginger and go with the man, Becky Lynch. Then we've got the New Day versus KO and Sami Zayn. I'm going to go with the New Day. Next up, it looks like we've got Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. I'm going to go with Roman Reigns. But I think there could be a little bit of Shane McMahon screwiness, but still Roman. I'm taking Roman on this one. And for my absolute last prediction for this card, unless there's any swerve matches or any last minute additions that I don't know about, I'm going to go with Daniel Bryan and Rowan. Notice how they took out his first name, Eric, because there's another Eric, or maybe multiple Erics. Who knows? And, there's Eric Young, Eric and Ivar, the Viking experienced warrior raider things, and all of that jazz. So, I'm saying no title changes. I'm saying, Daniel Bryan and Rowan. So let's recap. I've got Bayley, Roman Reigns, Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins, Kofi Kingston, Samoa Joe, New Day, Tony Nese, and Daniel Bryan and Rowan. Those are all my predictions. And this has been another episode of the Idle Threat Wrestling Podcast. Take it away, Joe.
Alright, so there was Mike's predictions, and I did quite bad at the Saudi show. I'm in last place. Double D's in the lead. And we got Mike Holmes sitting in the middle. So let's see how things turn out after this show. And it's on Sunday, so Mike comes back 2 or 3 days after that. So we'll try to get a podcast out recapping that. And so look for a podcast probably on the 26th. Is going to be the next one. I'm going to give you the wrap. Oh no! We got to go to the favorite segment of the show. Almost forgot here because we didn't do it last week. But here it is. Tell me he didn't just say that.
Tell me he didn't just say that.
Mr. Gilbert's got a plan or two for Mr. Christopher. You know what, Dave? Who should I blame? Where should the blame start? Well, you know where it's going to start, Brian Christopher? It's going to start tonight at the New Daisy Theater, because you know what? You're getting out of your environment and you're getting into mine. What you're going to do is you're going to climb in to 5 strands of barbed wire wrapped around the ring. Do you understand what that means? Listen, and you know what? Talking about him coming out here, Brian Christopher wants to come out here and play Doug Gilbert. Brian Christopher, if I was you, I would want to play Doug Gilbert every week because you've never got over. Listen, let me tell you one thing, boy. And listen, you do not talk about my family. You do not talk about me. Listen, you want to play that family card? He wants to play the family card? You think he wants to play that card with me? Oh, maybe Brian, that card hurts you so bad. Listen, son, I'm out on the street, and people say, Doug Gilbert, why was Brian Christopher dragging them 4 or 5 belts around that little red wagon? Oh, he was so successful here in Memphis, Doug. He was so successful. And Brian, it kind of hurts me, you know, Dave, there's things we're not supposed to talk about out here, right? That's true. But, you know, like they told me a few things in the back that I couldn't talk about, but I don't really remember what they was. One of them might have been Brian Christopher was a champion around here for so long because his daddy, Wait. Because his daddy, Jerry Lawler, owned the company.
Oh, it gets better. It gets much better.
I'm sorry, Dave. I know I'm supposed to say. But now listen, let me ask you one thing. From one guy at WMC, you can take the things that happens on this show, Dave, and you can change them a little bit. You can keep things from happening on this show, right or wrong?
Well, I couldn't just keep what happened on the show. It is live, and sometimes we can, sometimes we can't.
Oh, okay now, Dave, but you cannot tell me when Brian Christopher comes out here and he's going to act like me, which that's fine. He can act like me all he wants. I don't care. But when he comes out here and you're going to be disrespectful to my mom or my dad, you know what? That little thing in your ear there, Dave, that the people are talking to you from upstairs, I think maybe you should have said it's time to go to break. See, I'm not holding any one person responsible, but what I'm saying, see, Randy Hills is upstairs with his hand on that little button that could cut me off. See, Randy, if I start saying something again that I shouldn't about you running that road smoking crack.
Oh, Doc, that's not true. That's not true.
Oh, yeah, Dave, it is true. Randy Hills has confessed.
Well, now let me tell you what we can do.
Okay.
You have a point. You have a point.
Okay, well,
there are certain things we can control. There are certain times we can cut the microphones and go to commercial. And I think
You
now,
think that'd be it?
Hold it, Dave. Let me say
And they
one
would
thing.
take the mic
Everybody
from
else their chance, right?
watch what you say.
I watch what I say now.
They trust Eddie.
Now listen, the first thing, now hold on one second, listen, the first thing, somebody showed me a tape right this come out here and went, I'm Doug Gilbert and Jerry Lawler, I'm gonna stick my fist in your mouth. Well, come on, Dave, I ain't that corny. I said, you know I'm Doug Gilbert and Jerry Lawler, you raped a little 13-year-old girl.
Now, come on. This is all... We're not going to let him get away with that anymore. We're going to let those other guys.
Oh, he got away with it. He definitely got away with saying that, and I don't want to get into too much on the show. I just thought that was a pretty crazy approach to shoot on your boss like that. You just, I mean, Jerry Lawler was up for rape accusations. Whether he's guilty of it or not, that's another story. But the fact that, Doug Gilbert there got away with saying that on TV, he used the live thing to his advantage to get back. He was mad about them talking about his family legitimately. The Lawlers had been saying something about, the Gilbert family, and he retaliated with that. And that was this week's, probably the most extreme. Tell me he didn't just say that. So anyways, wrap up the show with, I got this little piece of paper now. I just figured I'd show it to the Idolettes Wrestling Podcast, our licensed journalists now. I don't know, I spent a lot of money on this silly thing, so I figured I would show it off. So anyways, that's going to do it for the Idol Threat Wrestling Podcast this week. Glad to be back after that little hiatus. So check us out, subscribe, please subscribe, like us. Keep watching us for stuff that goes on around Windsor and all around in the wrestling world. Still want to see some indie. We still want to do the indie highlights segment or match of the week. So any indie wrestlers out there, send an email to idolethreatpodcast@gmail.com. You can send me messages here on YouTube. That's fine. Find me on Facebook at Joey Idol, Instagram Idol Threat Productions. Whatever it need be. Snap out of your Slim Jims and join us next week.